Hello, guys. I am still on vacation. I'm still in Oregon. It is a very cloudy morning or day, so you can't really see too much of the landscape here behind where I am, but you can see a little bit of it. And I was trying to see if I could sit outside to do a video. But what this time has really been making me think about is self care, or the lack of self care for myself, I guess. Um, And when you're on vacation, or well, for me, when I'm on vacation, staying with my family and not having to be responsible for everyone, it makes me, I think, a little bit more myself. I have been very happy, very joyful. I've been laughing a lot. I feel a lot more easygoing. I don't have that like tenseness that I normally have. And I think that's the, part of being on vacation, is that you're just more relaxed and you feel just more free to be yourself. And I wish that I could be that more when I'm at home. I wish I could be that more for my family. But it got me thinking about self-care, and self-care is a really common thing that people talk about right now. But a lot of times I see it in the sense of people saying, like, I'm doing self-care, as in, for women anyway, like they're going to the spa, they're getting their hair done, they're going shopping, they're doing things like that. So I started thinking about, like, what does self-care need to look like for me? And I do have a list, and this might get a little bit long, so hopefully I make some sense. But number one in self-care, for me, or for an INFJ, would be alone time. And that can be definitely a struggle if you are someone that has a family, if you are someone that is employed. But it's important to have time, as we all know. It's important to have time that you're alone, that you don't have a specific thing that you're going to do. You just have time alone. Quiet time is what I like to call it. But lately, I feel like my quiet time has been taken up by watching videos, obsessively looking at numbers for coronavirus, things like that. And I haven't had very much time where I'm just, like, not doing nothing. But, I found with our walks that we've been taking here through the mountains and on the beach, and if I just walk, away by myself, I have some alone time and my brain can just kind of flow instead of, worrying about and wondering about the next thing I'm going to do. And having that alone time, especially in nature, not surrounded by a bunch of people where I have to worry over their emotions and what they're doing, is very, very important. So for us INFJs, I think alone time, quiet time, time where we're not specifically getting a task done, or we're not having an intention for what we're doing, is the most important thing for self-care. And then the next thing is hobbies and creative endeavors. Because, just like having alone time, that's another kind of alone time, but we're actually creating something. And we do have, like, these imaginative brains, and these brains that, want to create things and want to put all of these things into action. So, that's another piece of self-care where you can, put your hands to work and put your brain to work in a different way, where you're not trying to solve all of humanity's problems. You can just make something. And that is a really good thing for me. I like to knit. I like to make food. I like to create things. And that is one of those places where I really feel, even though I'm sitting and resting my body when I'm doing those things, a lot of times it's really good for my emotional state. And then the next thing is limiting your workload. And this is something that is hugely apparent to me when I'm on vacation and I have to leave. I left my husband and my boys at home, and I have to leave all of my workload for them. It's very apparent that the load is not even. And I do work outside the home. So even at my job, I work in a salon. And if I was not limiting myself in, I create my own schedule and do my bookings. So if I wasn't a person that was able to say no, I would be there 7 days a week, at least for a little while. So it's important when you have control over, to some extent, how much of your workload you take on, that you understand where your limits are, because otherwise it would be very easy to just continue to take on more and more and more and just do everything yourself. And that is the case for me at home. It's easier for me to just take care of everything myself because I wouldn't necessarily want to upset anyone at home or try or burden them with work. And I think it's really important to limit that workload and delegate out things that really could be done by someone else. And I don't have to do everything myself. And it's good to teach my children that they can do things, and I need to know that it's too much that I'm doing, and I'm not going to be able to be a free, lighthearted person if I'm weighing myself down with this huge workload all the time. Eliminating or limiting toxic people. This is another one, and I don't deal with this too much now because I did this years ago. I think when I kind of fell apart emotionally, I kind of got rid of a lot of people that just put undue pressure on me and manipulated me and took advantage of my good nature and took advantage of my generosity. And you have to have boundaries. You have to decide for yourself, despite how it's going to make other people feel, what is right for you, what feels right for you, what you are responsible for and what you are not. And that has really been a huge thing for me. Mostly I am not responsible for other people's reaction to me and to the decisions that I make that are best for me and my family. That has been the biggest thing, is to be very aware of other people overloading me with things that are not mine, and to not make my decisions for myself and for my family based on guilt put on me by another person, or even guilt put on by myself. Because if I've if I've made a boundary and I've made a decision that this is what I'm going to do, and someone else doesn't like it and they react in an aggressive or negative or even sad way, I just have to take responsibility for my own behavior. And if I've done something to hurt them and I think that, an apology is in order, then I will do it. But you have to decide with your brain and not your feelings what is right for you. You have to decide where those boundaries need to lie and what people, if they're overloading you and manipulating you, they maybe need to be eliminated or at least limited with the amount of time they can spend with you. There's a lot of new pollen here and it's making me cough. A little bit more on the guilt. Need to be aware when we're making decisions for ourselves, for other people in our family, for people that we need to take care of, but specifically for ourselves. We need to let our intuition help to make our decisions, and our introverted thinking help to make our decisions, where we roll things over and decide things rather than guilt. And I feel like a lot of my life has been ruled by guilt, and I've made many, many decisions based on that guilt and regretted them later because I was then taken advantage of by people, and maybe they didn't even know they were doing that. But you need to let your very analytical, intelligent brain help you make those decisions rather than your feelings sometimes, rather than guilt. And the last bit about self-care, and this is a huge, huge one for me, and I live in a climate in northern Wisconsin where we are very cold for many months, and it's probably not the best climate for me to live in because I need to be outside. I need to feed my senses, other than just sitting inside my head and rolling things over and over again. I need to be outside where I can hear the birds and I can see the grass and the rocks and the flowers and the soil, and just walk along and feed that part of my brain, because that gives me so much peace to be out in God's creation and just see all the beautiful things. Yeah, get outside. Need to get outside. That's probably the biggest piece of self-care that I could say for today, and the thing that's been, that makes this vacation to a different part of the country for me so helpful, is that, I can get outside and look around, and it's so beautiful and it's so unbelievable, and the landscape is so different, and it just really makes me feel like myself. So I hope you have a great day today, guys. I have been really slacking on making videos, but I am enjoying my vacation, and talk to you all again soon. Live and love out of the way you were created.